to the video.
Okay. Okay, let's see what this is. Okay, so as we said yesterday, today is the wrap up on Gmail. So everybody, this is the opportunity to ask any questions and make sure you are clear about Gmail. So what questions does anybody have? What issues, challenges, not clear part? Okay, Dominic.
It goes along with what Monica was saying yesterday. The people that you have in your circles, how do you go about getting their email information without actually having to ask them?
You mean initially?
Well, say like right now I have people in my circle, there's only two of them that are emails that are actually attached. Or can I just click, is there any way to like click on their profile and get their email? Maybe that's
well, how did you add them to your circle?
When it says like people you know, or if you click on people, it gives you a list.
Okay. Okay. So the question is, you have somebody in the circle, you want their email address. Okay. Has anybody tried to find it? Okay. So we'll put that up on the board. 1, can you obtain an email address from someone in your circle, right? Okay. Now, whatever questions you have, at least 3 other people here are probably thinking the same thing. So one thing good employees do, if they have a legitimate question, they ask. Because what bosses hate is when something goes wrong and they say to somebody, what went wrong? You say, well, I didn't understand. Right? Bosses hate that. Because then what do they say? When you say, I didn't understand, what do they say? Yeah, well, why didn't you ask? And what is not a good answer?
So I was scared.
Exactly. That's not a good answer. Okay. And that's what people say. But that then puts you in this group of employees who I can't depend upon this person because they're like everyone else. They're the sheeple type of employee. So part of this exercise, if you don't know something, is to learn how to ask. Because there's also, but there's a bad way to ask. Okay. You know, so one of the challenges we have here with students, none of them are here right now, but does anybody remember Jesse? Jesse?
Oh, little Jesse, little freckles.
The big guy.
Yeah, he was, but he's so, you know.
Okay. So he would always start out by asking a question by saying, I don't want to sound like I'm stupid, or I don't want to take your time, blah, 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 blah. Wait. What's the question? You know, he wouldn't just get into it. So you're waiting. You know, anybody have any questions? When somebody says, anybody have any questions, they just want the question. They don't want why you're asking the question. They don't want an apology of why you're asking a question. So part of the good thing to do is, if you don't know, is to ask a question. But there's a right way and a wrong way to ask questions. The wrong way is a way that makes you seem stupid. So one thing to never do is don't apologize for asking a question. Okay, they're not looking for your apology. The boss didn't say, does anybody want to apologize for something? The boss is saying, does anybody have any questions? Right? So there's a good way and a bad way. So the one bad way is don't ever apologize. Don't start a question with an apology. Another thing is don't go into this long-winded why you're asking the question. Remember, that's always on all of our tests is one of the secrets to being good at taking tests is you answer the question that is asked. You don't give the wind up to why they ask, why you're going to answer. Just answer the question that's asked. And a lot of people who don't do well on our quizzes, instead of answering the question, they talk about the question. They talk about why is it a question? How they feel about the question. That is all just garbage. So when somebody says you have a question, that is your boss asking you for help. That's how you need to take it. He wants to make sure that you're clear because he wants you to perform, because if you perform, he looks what? Yeah, he looks good. If you don't perform, how does the boss look? Not good. So, and at the end of the day, the boss is the guy who's responsible. Okay, he doesn't get to say, my moron employee didn't do something. They forgot to do something. Or they didn't understand. Because that doesn't make the boss look good, right? So if your boss asks for questions, you should be thinking, he's asking me to ask him a question. If I'm a good employee and I have a question, I'm going to ask it. Otherwise, I'm going to say, no, I'm clear. Because another thing employers don't like, your boss doesn't like, is if he says, does anybody have any questions? And nobody replies. You never noticed in here, I'll ask a question and then I'll ask it the opposite way. Is anybody not clear? Okay, has everybody got there? Is everybody on the page? Is anybody not on the page? Why do I do that? Because people are not responding. Okay, and so that's a habit that needs to be broken. Somebody says, okay, is everybody there? Yes. Or just rate, yeah. Just, yeah, I'm there. Just give an acknowledgement. Anybody having trouble? No, I don't like to ask the questions in the negative. Is anybody not there? I don't like doing that because it starts going on a negative track, okay? As opposed to, we're going to make the world a better place. This is now focusing on why the world sucks. Okay, so I don't like to ask questions from the negative. But if I do, it's because nobody's responding. So if you don't respond, I don't know whether you're on the page or not on the page. These are things to watch for, to become aware of your surroundings when you're at work. And your boss says, does anybody have any questions? If you do, you should be the person to do it, because the boss knows if one person asks the question, there's always at least one other person who has the same issue. That's why they say there's no bad questions. Okay, the bad part is how you ask the question. So you should say, if you have a question, a good way to ask the question is, I just want to be clear. Question. Not like, I'm a moron, explain the whole thing. I just want to be clear. So on this one, I just want to be clear. Is there a way to get somebody's email address if they're in your circle? Okay? Not, I have the same problem that Monica had yesterday. See the difference? Okay, we're here to learn, so I'm not picking on you. I'm just using this as an example. Okay, not, well, I tried to do this yesterday, blah, blah, blah. So question would be, is there a way, I just want to be clear, is there a way to get somebody's email address if they're already in a circle? The answer would be yes, but what I take when you ask that is there a real simple way? Because what's the ultimate way you can always do it? If there's people in your circle and you want to get their email address, what do you have to do? What can you always do?
Message.
Yeah, post a thing. Hey, I need everybody's email address. I'm updating my contacts file. Please send me your email. Please send me your contact information. You know you can always do that, right? You know that is the ultimate thing. Yeah.
I actually figured out how to do that easily this week.
Okay, so how do you do it?
Go to compose an email, and go to who it's to, and you put in the first initial of their name, and it'll pop up all of your circles with the first name, first initial of that name.
Okay.
It'll give you a list with their picture and everything from your Google circles,
Okay.
and you click on that, and it pops up their email so that you can see them.
Okay. So the answer is yes. Right? Okay, so that's good. Yeah.
What if it's you ask if anybody has a question? I don't have a question, but I don't have the whole. It's a comment,
Okay.
and I don't understand the whole thing in general. But I know with practice, everything will come together.
Okay.
So if you ask me certain things right now, I might not have the answer for you, but I know I have it here. I just need a little more practice with this system.
Okay, so is that a question?
It's comment.
Oh, comment. Okay. So now that's another important thing that Tiger Todd talks a lot about. And here it's number 4, listen and learn. Okay, the opposite side. Remember, there was another one, anybody who's gone to Hero School, he has the here's what homeless people do. We don't have that because I said to Tiger, our people are not homeless. Our people are not people on the streets, or even if they are, if they don't have a home, they're not that kind of people. Our people are not that kind of people. Our people have left that behind. Now they want to become good employees. So we don't have the homelessness rules. But the number 4 on there for listen and learn is the bad habit of homeless people, is they're always commenting. So you ever notice, like, for example, it's too bad Eric isn't here. And I've talked to Eric about this many times. Eric doesn't usually ask questions. What does he do? He comments on stuff. And the comments are stuff that nobody cares about. Why do homeless people do that? What's the psychological reason homeless people do that? Because it makes them feel like they're heard and they're somebody. They're not just a piece of homeless person who has nothing. And they get in a habit around each other of talking and telling people, as opposed to asking good questions. You ever go to or watch on TV or a movie things where they have people in really good universities, students? They ask good questions. They wouldn't think of wasting everybody's time in classroom of talking about something that nobody cares about. Okay? And the instructor just wouldn't put up with it. But it doesn't happen. And so commenting is a thing you have to be careful about. If they say, does anybody have any questions? So a good way to handle that would be, anybody have any questions? You wait. So if you have a comment, wait till the questions are done. Because what's the boss asking for? Questions, because he wants to make sure when I say charge, everybody's facing the same direction, right? Because what happens if the guy says charge and everybody's faced different directions? People die, but what does it look like? Yeah, so in the charge of the light brigade, right, it's very clear which way they're going. Everybody's facing the same direction. So when the boss says, is there any questions, I want everybody lined up, I want everybody on the same page. So when I say, okay, great, let's go do it, everybody's going the same direction. That's the fundamental purpose of any question. Now, if you bring up a comment in there, you've totally disrupted the whole flow, right? See that? Okay, so you just wait, okay? Because I think what a lot of times, or sometimes, Eric wants to support something I'm saying. That's why he comments. But I lose it. I don't get the connection between what I'm saying and what he's supporting. So if you're going to do that, if your comment starts with a thing of supporting, you'd say something like, hey guys, I completely agree. Here's my experience. Here's something that I had happen, which is exactly what the boss is saying. Now you're allied with the boss, right? The boss is, okay, I got one guy here who knows what he's doing. Now, if your comment then leads to a question, and is that what you were just saying? You might not be
I
completely
have
clear.
many questions. I don't know exactly what my questions are.
Okay. So what you have to do is, if he says any questions, you have to think of at least one question. So you got to take all of these scrambled things and figure out what's one question I can ask as a start. But you start your question with, I just want to be clear about something. That tells the boss, okay, where am I on this question scale? Is this like we're back to first grade? Or is this a a specific technical question? If you say, I just want to be clear about one thing, that makes the guy think, before you even ask the question, okay, good, this is not going to be, we've got to go all the way back to, when you say click with the left mouse button, what does that mean?
When you know what you're doing.
No, but in your boss's mind. If we're trying to talk about, in here, if I say, anybody have any questions about Gmail? And somebody says, well, I'm not clear, when you say click, what does that mean? That's like, wow, we're now back to day one. We're not even talking about Gmail. We're not talking about Gmail as a professional. We're way back to this person doesn't get anything. This is way back to whatever. So when you ask a question, ask it in a good way. And if you have a comment, wait till the questions are out, and then try to frame a question in there. So along those lines, let's practice. Does anybody have any questions about Gmail? Okay.
Like for me, I don't really have people that I can talk to. But if I hover over their name, it shows like I dash. That,
No.
okay.
No reply.
My person is, I've never used them.
Okay.
So if I go.
Okay, so when you so start out by saying, okay, I've never used email. Now what do I get? Okay, now I need to go with simple answer to your question. Okay, so I've never used email before. What are you trying to do?
Well, I could do the fundamentals of getting.
Okay, but what are you trying to do?
I'm trying to say like to send an email to someone, and I don't have any addresses. How do I even start?
Okay, so the question is, if I want to send somebody an email, but I don't have their email address, right? Is that your question? Is that your question? Okay. Well, that's kind of tough.
Yeah.
Because you can't, that's be like saying, I want to send Joe a letter, but I don't have his address. Right? How would you send Joe a letter if you don't have his address?
Well,
Like everybody in my circle is being cost of run. So you don't have.
Well, you have your email here. Just like you have an email, ltclv.edward. Okay. Everyone else, you know that, right?
And it's in here.
Well, it's not in there unless they've sent you one. So that's the key thing.
What about
Yeah.
what she said? If
Monica?
you have circles, if you have all those circles, and then you go to Gmail, I just tried this with Dominic. So I have all these circles, and then I went to Gmail, and I just went to the typing part, and I just said D-O-N, and then I started spelling out his name. He came up just as he was in my circle. Is that correct? Yeah, he came up just as he was in my circle.
Okay, now, let's pause
I'm
right
sorry.
there. He might not have come up because he's in your circle. He might have come up because he's on Google. He's got a Gmail account. Because you'll see when you start typing people's names, people you don't know will come up. So Dominic may or may not be in your circle, but he is on Gmail. He has a Google Plus account. And that's one way Google makes it easy, is if somebody has a Gmail account, you type their name, if they have a Google Plus, they're on Google Plus, it will probably pop up. Okay? So to Lisa's point, okay, keep going, Lisa.
Okay, so I did that, and then he came up, and sometimes a picture will come up. Sometimes I'm like, who
Right.
is this?
Okay?
So I'm so glad for people who took the pictures.
Okay, so pause.
Yes.
So what you would do, what you should be doing right now, is go to Google Plus, go to post a comment, start typing somebody's name in the box.
You could put Lisa.
Okay, you could put Lisa, you could put Kim. Now, another thing you can do to make it easy for Google to find it is start with LV top. And you might have a whole bunch of people start showing up who you don't know because they were students here. Or in California, how does your email start, Joe?
Excuse me?
How does your email start? Your school email.
LTC dot.
Right. So in California, it starts with LTC. Yeah.
Now, when I search for Google Plus Lisa Langley, 1,000 Lisa Langleys come up.
Right.
But when I search for Gmail Lisa Langley, then it comes up
Okay.
immediately.
So that's another thing. Okay. So next question. Oh, good. Excellent. Who else in California? So on Gmail, what is it that is not qualifying you to become an expert in Gmail right now? What do we need to review?
Anybody?
For you to feel you are a Gmail expert or professional.
Anybody got any questions about Gmail at all?
How do we create an event?
Student
What?
calendar.
Okay. And in Gmail, how do we create an event? This is one of the easy ones.
Does it go to?
It's one of these ones.
How do we create an event in Gmail?
Make a call?
Make a what?
Make a call? I don't know.
Okay. So you open an email, and then you go to the button that says More. And the third from the bottom says Create Event. That takes you to the calendar. And when you hit Save, it sends an email reply back to the person who sent the original email and anybody else that was part of that thread. Why do we want to create an event? Okay, because there's some future event. Somebody sends you an email that talks about something in the future. Instead of doing what? Instead of reply, you need to break that habit and click on what? More. Click on the More button. And then click Create Event. Okay, so okay, can everybody in California see that? Oh, of course not. Can everybody in California see that question?
Why do birds fly
Why do birds fly
south for the winter?
Okay, so everybody take a second, think about an answer to that question. And then we're going to go around the room
Oh,
with the answer to the question. Okay, do you see the question, Monica? Okay, what's the answer? No. No. Go ahead, what's your answer? Okay, no.
I know.
Why?
Migration.
Why?
Yeah, what's your answer, Dennis?
Because they cannot run.
No. Next. Okay, no. Okay. So this is an example of what you do in law school. They'll put the question like this on the board, and whatever answer you give, they're going to say no. How could everything be no? Okay, it's what the Jesuits call mental reservation. And Father Max will be here, the Jesuit will be here next Thursday. Mental reservation, which is I was thinking something different. So what was your answer, Monica? Okay. So did that have to do with south? Why do they fly south?
Yes.
Okay, so you put the emphasis on the word south, as opposed to would they survive if they flew north? Right, okay. And you said what? Warmth. So you again were focused on south. Okay, who had another one? Dennis said they can't walk. His focus was on the word fly, right, Dennis?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Exercise.
Okay, I don't know about that one, but so in mental reservation, every time I ask the question and I say no to your answer, it's because I change my question, so you can't possibly be right. So when Monica gave me her answer, I said no because I was thinking about the word birds. Why do birds fly south?
Mm.
Well, people can't.
This is a lawsuit.
Why? Why do birds fly south? So when we're speaking, it's the emphasis on the words, right? Why do birds fly south? So that's the answer to Dennis's question, because it's too far to walk. Why do they fly south? Because it's warmer. Why for the winter? So depending upon how the question is asked, there's all kinds of different answers. And so what were we talking about, right? Oh, asking questions?
What's the answer for that?
We still want to know why birds fly south of the winter.
Well, when somebody puts it on the board, whatever you say can either be right or wrong. If they want you to be right, they're going to say, yeah, that's a reason. Yeah, that's a reason. Yeah, that's a reason. If they want you to be wrong, they're just going to change what the key word was. That's called mental reservation. Well, I was thinking about fly. I was thinking about winter. Okay, or I was thinking about something else. But what brought us to that point?
There's many different ways to do things on Google.
Okay.
Get the same thing done.
Okay, so there's many ways to get things on Google to get the same thing done. And so for Ed, the question was, how do I get somebody's email address? Right? Period. How do I get their email address? Period. So if you don't have their email address, you can do different things. Hey, Tim, what's your email address? Right? That would be one way. You can post something out to the whole world in Google+. Hey, anybody out there who's part of Larson or part of this, I need your contact information. As Lisa pointed out, you can start typing their name and see if it pops up. And it could be somebody different than who you were thinking it was. The importance of this in law school is when you see something, a question in writing, it could have very different meanings depending upon where the emphasis is. But if somebody says, why do birds fly south for the winter? That's a little bit different than saying, why do birds fly south for the winter, right? If I say, why do birds fly south for the winter? What's the answer to that?
What was it? It sounded like you said the same exact question.
Okay, why do birds fly south for the winter? If I put the emphasis on the word south. Why do they fly south?
Because it's warmer.
Because it's warmer. That's why they fly south. They don't fly south because they want to survive. They fly south because it's warmer. If it was warmer in the north, they would fly north, right? Do you think birds in the southern hemisphere fly south for the winter?
No,
Where do they fly?
north.
They fly north, okay? Because it's warmer. So one of the key things is when you see a question in writing, you have to be careful to understand what is the question. When somebody is speaking to you, you need to pay attention to what is the word that is being emphasized in the question. Okay, what's the word being emphasized in the question? Okay, who has another question on Gmail that is preventing you from being a professional? Yes, Lisa.
I have another question, but it helps me when you ask questions like you just did.
Okay, so that's a comment, right?
It's not a comment, it's a question to ask.
Okay,
you to
what's the
ask her a
question?
Like, no, really, seriously.
Okay, so here's a good way to frame that question. Does anybody have any questions? Yes. Could you ask more questions as examples so to help us learn? Well, okay, what we want to do as good employees, we don't want to give a comment in response to, does anybody have any questions? And if you don't believe me, just watch any movie about where there's a courtroom scene going on. Okay? Watch any movie about that. They always shut people down very quickly. Like if somebody says, yes or no, were you the guy who killed the person? If you go into the, well, you know, who's the person you're talking about? Yes or no? Just yes or no. If it's a yes or no question. Okay, so one question is, can I ask more questions? Right? Okay, fair enough. So let me rephrase my question. Does anybody have any questions about Gmail that's preventing them from being professionals in your own mind?
Hey, Ed,
Yes, Joe.
so creating an event, that's the best way to schedule a video call?
To schedule a video call? Okay, so you first of all have to make sure in Gmail, in your labs, that you have it, or in your calendar, in settings in calendar, that you have it set up that you can make video calls. If you have that checked, whenever you create an event, there will be a little icon for a video call. And then you click on that. It's an active link. So let me see if I can quickly show you here. Oops. Okay, so I'm going to go to my calendar. So go to your calendar. Okay, so I'm going to switch over to my view. Oops, not that one. Okay, so everybody go to your calendar, go in Gmail. So Joe, on yours, are you in a create event?
I can be really quickly. Yes.
Go into your calendar and you're creating event.
Okay. I'm on in Gmail create event.
Okay, we'll just go to the 9-square grid up here on the right. Go to the 9-square grid and click on calendar.
Yeah.
Okay, that'll open your calendar.
Yeah.
Okay, so click on anything. So I'm just clicking on a space to create an event.
Okay.
So your screen should look like my screen. Does everybody here screen look like my screen? Okay. So Joe, so you're on your calendar, right? It looks like this, sort of.
I got to create event.
Okay, so you're on something that's looking like this. So if you're going to create an event.
Yeah.
Okay, now right below where it says where, it should say video call. Does everybody here have that? Okay, good. Okay, does anybody not have video call? I'll ask it the other way. Does anybody not have video call on their screen? So if you want to create an event that is a video call, you would do the same thing. If they sent you an email that said, "Hey, can we have a call? Can you call me and talk about this?" And you wanted to do a video call, what's the first thing you do? Click what? Well, you're on your email. You're reading an email. So what do you do first? Push more, exactly. Okay, then what do you do? Create event. Then you push create event, and it brings you to this page. Then you have to start filling in the information. What's the event? What's the time? What's the day, time? Where is it? If it's video call, you click on that. You click video call. Well, that would be right now.
Yeah, I found it. Set up the day and time. Hey Ed,
Yeah.
is there any difference between like Google Voice, video call, conference call? Are they completely different platforms or apps, or are they all kind of integrated?
Are you talking about in Gmail? I mean in Google?
By Google.
Okay, so last week or in the last month, Google has started changing their calls, their ability to make calls and video calls. So what I have found is the best thing to do if you want to make a call is to go into your Google Plus. So I'm on my Google Plus homepage. I'm going to close that message. So if you go into Google Plus, there's a couple things that you can do. One sure way to do it is to go into Hangouts. No, not into Hangouts. Don't go into Hangouts.
Video
You
Hangout?
can't do that anymore. So over on the right, if you have it set up, down on the bottom, you could have a thing that says Start a Video Hangout. And you get a box like that.
Why can't you go to Hangouts anymore? No? Huh. Yeah. I actually do that. So what do you have? It's called irony. It's better if you
Okay, I'm back. So I pushed the wrong button. Anyway, so you can go into your Google Plus or Gmail if you have your settings set up right, and you can just make a video or a phone call right there. Does that answer your question, Joe?
Yeah, it does. For me, I could do
Now,
that.
there's another way to do it. Some people here have had problems, and that's to go back into Google Voice. So if I go to the 9-square grid, and I come to this page,
Oh,
and I go to Voice, and I end up here. I end up on my Voice thing. If I push Call over on the left,
no camera, but you can.
so if I push Call on the left, if I'm in Google Voice and I push Call, the box opens up and I enter the number there. So that's another way to make a call. And last week, in the last couple of weeks, we've had people having problems making a call one way, and so here's another way to make a call.
The one that's registered with the account.
Okay, who's got it? We've got 5 more minutes. Who's got another question regarding what is stopping you from being a professional, or what is causing you to not be a professional right now?
Is Google Voice centric on video calls or regular calls?
Google Voice starts, well, yes, Tim. No, I can't. Okay, but to Joe's question, your question, Joe, was, is it video calls or regular calls?
Yeah, like.
Okay, so you usually have a choice when you make a call to be either a phone call or a video call. If you start out as a video call and the person doesn't have a camera, it's just going to be a voice call.
It went to my phone. Yeah, I did too. To my phone, to my cell phone.
You can call people's cell phones. Now, if you have your phone, I mean your account set up right, on your, I'm not sure, navigation bar below the Omnibar box, where it says events, all the way to the right, you should have a little hangout sign symbol. If you click on that, that's an easy way to make calls.
Okay.
Okay, that's just another way to do it. And then in the box, you'd enter their number.
And is Google Voice easy to integrate with your smartphone so you can make video calls from it?
It doesn't need to be, but you should set it up that way.
Download the app?
Yes, you want to download the app.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's see. Any other questions here regarding what is keeping you from being a professional in Gmail? So everybody knows about labs. That's clear. If I say to you, what's the first thing you do when you say to you're in your interview and you say, well, you should hire me because I'm the best person for the job. I can do all the things everybody else can do, but I can do things they can't do. I can help you get to the cloud, or I can take you to the cloud. And if the person says, the interviewer says, well, how do you do that? What's your answer? Okay, first we start with Gmail. First we start with getting everybody a Gmail account. He says, why? Okay, so all Google apps are linked to Gmail. Well, what do we do about our existing email?
Transfer.
Okay, so the word would be forward. So you said it right, send, transfer. We just get it set up that those get forwarded to the Gmail account. Well, will people be able to send from the work account? How? Will they be able to send through the work account? So the answer would be yes, because now you have to get, what I'm saying is I'm inferring, we're in Gmail. We just switched over to Gmail accounts. I can get it. Can I send from my work account? How? No. How do I send from my work account? Right. So I just set up the account. And that's easy. We just set the account up to do that. We did that here, right? You go into settings and you go to accounts and you follow the instructions. Okay, well, what about signature?
Mm-hmm.
What about the signature part? Okay, but you're shaking your head no.
We can't create one.
Right. Okay, so that's another important thing. Body language, remember, is very important. So Moses just said, you can create one anyway. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Okay. So if I say, if you say, how you feeling? I say, great. What does that mean? Okay. Did you notice once I said it?
I thought I did.
Oh, yeah, you did this. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay, so that is in Gmail. Now, so now here's another thing. Instead of saying, can I ask you a question? The best way to frame that is, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. And then ask the question. Because you don't want your first question to be, can I ask you a question? Right? Let me ask you this. What does quick links mean? Okay, did you click on the plus sign next to it?
Plus sign.
Okay, so quick links is sort of like your bookmarks bar if you're in Gmail. So that would be places that you would go to frequently. So it's just a way to get to places you go frequently. So this example, this could be like Telus is making calls to people. He has a price sheet for ads. That price sheet is in his drive. You might want a quick link to be able to pull up the price sheet, right? Okay, because your bookmarks bar has limited real estate. How many things you can have there. Your quick links, it can go down like this. Right, because did you push add quick link? Okay, what happened? Enter title for current view inbox. Right. So, so now if you wanted to change that to something else,
I don't have any.
you put that in there. Oops.
It won't show.
So this would be a quick link to your inbox, but you don't want a quick link to your inbox because you're already there. So quick links is a way for you to be able to get to stuff that you use frequently. Okay? Okay, we're out of time, everyone, so thank you. The key thing is if you don't use it, you're going to lose it. So make sure you practice on Gmail, even though we really stress Google+. Keep working on Gmail because most other people are back in the days of, most people are still back in the email days. But Google Plus is more efficient than email. It's better than email. Unfortunately, most other people use it. So you should continue to use Google Plus if you know how to be an expert or use Google email in a professional way. Okay, so everybody start talking to your people about Nolan coming to California in the next 2 weeks. It would be great if we have all of the case managers there, all of your counselors at that meeting. That would be great. Any friends, anybody that can benefit, especially the school, would be there. Okay?
Okay.
Great. Thank you. We'll see you guys Monday.
Ed,
Yes. What?
I think Joe had a comment.
I was going to
Okay.
say, I saw something that said he was one of the 50 most influential
Influential.
Americans.
Mm-hmm.
You read something that said Nolan is one of the 15 most influential Americans?
One of the 50.
One of
Yes,
the 50.
Wikipedia. Mm-hmm.
I think that's true because if you really think about it, Pong changed the world. Pong changed the world. It wasn't, like I said last week, it wasn't an incremental thing from a pinball machine. It wasn't an incremental thing from a board game. It was a new thing. And many things followed after that. Chuck E. Cheese wasn't an increment on pizza parlors. It was a different way to have parties for kids. And that brought in other things like Dave and Buster's and other places too. Nolan always talks about ETAC, which is the navigational software that he did about 10 years before it became popular. You know, it's not a consumer thing, and so most people don't know about that. BrainRush is the same type of thing. It's not really an incremental thing about learning. It is a different way to do education, and it's working here. It's working everywhere he does it, but you know, this is a great test case. So, so I agree with that. I think that's true, and as articulate and interesting as Nolan was when you were watching him, he's much more appealing in person. So be thinking or be planning that in 2 weeks. Within the next 2 weeks, we'll be there. Okay?
Good.
Okay, Ed, thanks.
Great. Thanks, everyone. Bye,
Okay.
Joe.
All right.